Rick Grenell, his senior advisor to the ACLJ on international issues, national security, former acting director of national intelligence, and ambassador to Germany. Before we get into Russia and Ukraine, which and Iran, Rick, you're in California, and this border crisis, we were just talking about how it doesn't just affect the states on the border, that it has an impact for all 50 states because the drug money, the number of drugs coming in, the sex trafficking of minors, it's unreal. What's your sense of the situation right now on the border as you see it?
Well, one of the problems that we have is that there's a border largely almost completed in California. So a lot of the California politicians are not concerned about the border crisis because it seems to be happening more in Texas. And you ask yourself, why is Nancy Pelosi, a Californian, disinterested? Is because she's protected largely. This is a problem for Texas, and it's got to be solved. But you're not going to get help from California politicians because they've got theirs. They've got their border.
Yeah, because they've got a border wall and a border fence, and they have checkpoints. The problem is once these individuals get in, it's affecting all 50 states, but we talked about that for the last segment. Let's talk about this. Richard Haass, president of the Council of National Foreign Relations, this morning on MSNBC says, none of us know what Putin's intentions are with Ukraine. Now, he amassed about 100,000 troops. You served, in addition to Director of National Intelligence, you also were the ambassador to Germany, so you know this region of the world well. What's your sense of what's happening here?
Look, there's a lot of hypocrisy from the NGO community and the smarty pants people in Washington, D.C. that have controlled foreign policy for a long time, and including in Brussels. Look, we've had a case where the Russians have redefined European borders. Let's be honest about that. When they grabbed Crimea, redefining of European land is such an outrage. And there's been a lot of talk and ideas being pushed about other places in Europe to redefine land. And the Europeans, rightly so, go crazy. And they absolutely say, no, do not redefine borders and land. There is a very strong reaction from European leaders whenever this idea pops up, except there was a lot of talk and absolutely no action from the United States under President Obama and Vice President Biden when Putin just grabbed Crimea and redefined European borders. And so the idea that somebody now would say we don't know what Putin has in his mind, well, let me just remind all those smarty pants people in Washington, D.C. that we've seen it. We know exactly what's on his mind. It's redefining borders. And that is supposed to be unacceptable. We need more action. We certainly don't need to be feeding the beast of Russia by having European countries like Germany buying gas from Russia while they're trying to bully the rest of Europe.
And they're trying to bully the rest of Europe. I mean, I think we got to be realistic. And Colonel Wes Smith is, of course, one of our senior military analysts, legal analysts also, and was retired colonel in the United States Army. You served during the time that Rick was just referring to, when Crimea was was taken by the Russians.
Taken with impunity. Absolutely nothing happened. And to Rick's point, too, part of my frustration now, whenever Russia does the things that they do and they're trying to redefine borders, not only did the Obama administration do not virtually nothing, they did absolutely nothing. Even now, the European Union, those countries still provide some impunity for Russia still with their behavior because of their interest in gas and oil and things like that. But recently, Russia put the equivalent of 4 armored divisions on the Ukrainian border, the most since 2014 when they actually invaded and attacked and took Crimea and all of that. And yet the world is standing by and watching this, Rick, and it seems like no one's really, really willing to confront Putin and say, stop it.
I mean, the president Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, reached out to Putin, who did not respond. Rick, how do you handle this situation?
Look, for one thing, we've got a whole bunch of people in Washington, D.C., a whole bunch of Democratic congressmen and Democratic senators who spend a lot of time talking about Russia and their involvement and their bullying. And yet the Biden administration has a philosophy right now that we're not going to put America first. We're going to let the Europeans decide how we have policies, whether it's the Iran policy, whether it's our relationship with China, our relationship with Russia. Let me also add Serbia and Kosovo. The new strategy is to let the Europeans decide. Well, the Europeans sit around and they wait for the Americans to take action. That's their policy. So now we have Putin troops about ready to do something. We know the history of what they've done. What we have to be able to do is put forward what America's policy is, not wait around for the Europeans because they're just waiting around for us to take action. We need to lead on these issues. And if we don't lead through diplomacy, then nothing is going to be done because the Europeans will continue to, analyze and talk.
You mentioned Iran briefly. Let me update everybody on this. So Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard has been flying, this is now confirmed, dozens of drones over American aircraft carriers that are in the Straits of Hormuz. And they've now released this video of showing our planes exposed. We're showing it right now for our audience to see. That's a U.S. aircraft carrier in the Straits of Hormuz and international waterways, and that is a Iranian drone. Now, you talk about up to no good. We know I remember when the Iranians captured our Navy, members of our Navy. So this is another one where we're leading from behind. They're so desperate to get back in this deal, they don't even mention it. Rick?
It's really important, Jay, that we recognize what this is. So we can talk about this, and I can talk about this because it's now a video that is out. But make no mistake, this is the tip of the iceberg, and we must react. We must realize that the Iranian regime hates America. They hate Israel. The idea that they're going to somehow be honest about their centrifuges, the number of centrifuges, or their percentage of enrichment is laughable. The Israelis have already proven through finding a locker full of information that the original JCPOA deal was built on a lie, that the Iranians hoodwinked the Americans and the Europeans. And so the idea that now we're going to sit back down and trust them is laughable. We have to learn from these mistakes.
Just a quick reminder for everyone, because you brought up when Iran seized a few of the naval ships. That was only in 2016. It feels like it was a lifetime ago. But that is only 5 years ago, and of course under a different administration.
Yeah, no, the political reality.
But I think I want to clarify, because in people's heads, I feel like that feels like that happened 20 years ago. But realistically, it happened just over 5 years ago.
Rick Grenell, Senior Advisor to the ACLJ on International Affairs and National Intelligence. Thanks, as always, for your insights and your call to action, which is important as well. We can't just talk about it, folks. We're going to find out. We're going to go to court, find out if we have to, through our FOIA litigation, whatever it takes.